Philadelphia playing Tampa Bay. The Rams going into Cincy. Is Burrow playing? Isn't he? Drama everywhere. Circa disaster. 50% of the pool out, including me. You're watching Wager Talk Today, and we've got a great show lined up. Teddy covers and the Prez, the best daily sports betting show on the planet. Bryan Leonard joining us right off the bat. Bri. Wow. What a Sunday for Dallas, Baltimore, Jacksonville, and the Prez household, who had 2 survivor picks and now has 0. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. I'm not in the survivor contest, but I got to be honest with you. I rooted for all the underdogs yesterday. I didn't know who was on them. I didn't have anything with them, but that's just the way I am. I'm an underdog kind of guy. And when I saw that Baltimore was going to overtime, I really wanted, well, especially because they took my Browns, but I wanted them to lose, unfortunately. And then Dallas, that line told you Dallas was in trouble because the line was 14, then it got bet all the way down to 11. When the line moves like that against a public team like Dallas, you gotta pay attention to the markets, and that told you Arizona was a live dog.
Yeah, Bri. Before we get into the first game, wait, Teddy. Before we get into the first game, Bri, I got to show you a text Teddy sent me. This was when Baltimore was up by 1. Teddy knew that I had Baltimore in the Survivor contest. I don't know if you guys can read that, but it says, I hope you lose both survivors today so we never have to mention them again. You're not winning the 9 million, brah. That's my boy right there, everybody. That's my man. No one loves me more. No one cheers for me more. No one has my back more than Teddy frickin' I hope you lose the chance to win $9 million covers. Okay, now you can go, Teddy. Great frickin'.
Well, the point he's trying to make is if you win $9 million, you'll leave the show, and then he's going to have to find another co-host.
Yeah, sure.
The point I was trying to make is, Lawrence, you won your 5% play on the Lions. It was a right side winner. That's the one that matters. When you're taking lottery shots, I don't care. I don't want updates on your lottery shots for something you're not going to cash for another 4 months. All right, I'm happy to root for your big play, but I could give 2 you-know-whats about a contest. You're not winning, I'm not winning, none of us are winning. Okay? It's a lottery. It's not real. Bryan, let's talk Monday Night Football for tonight. This line is moving as we speak. The 2.5s are getting wiped out. Looking at the Wager Talk, well, the Wager Talk live odds screen is down right now. But looking at an alternative to the Wager Talk live odds screen, I'm seeing Cincy -3 total. And by the way, that Wager Talk live odds screen should be back up momentarily. -3 just about everywhere. The 2.5s just got wiped out. Total 43.5, 44. Monday Night Football. The Burrow playing or Burrow-less Bengals against the upstart Rams. What do we do?
It's so hard to talk about right now. I sent it over last night that we were going to talk about it. It was 1.5. Now it's up to 3. Common sense would show you that, yes, Burrow's playing because the line went up to 3. It's a key number. And those that are betting that are not your general public who are going to wait till the last minute to put in a bet. So the information I had was Burrow from his teammates, quotes from his own teammates saying that they didn't expect him to play tonight. He was feeling better as the week went on. So now it looks like he's playing, but you've got to look at that and say, well, is an injured Burrow, which hasn't played well so far this season, is that going to be better than a backup quarterback? We will have to see. I would think that Burrow's passes would be limited today. They don't want to get him hit, so maybe they'll control the running game or try to control the running game. We will see. But he's a game-time decision, and as of an hour ago, the line hit. So got to assume at this point that he is playing. But I'm still concerned with his mobility here, so we'll see. Keep in mind, Cincinnati does have road trips to Tennessee and Arizona on deck before they come home and play Seattle. So Normally, you would think this is a must-win game because if they lose this, they're 0-3. But they've got 3 winnable games coming up, and it's a long season, so we'll see what happens. It's just tough to get involved in that. The Rams have surprised us so far this year. They had a 17-point win over Seattle, which has turned into a pretty decent team. And then a somewhat close loss to the 49ers, which is probably more impressive as the 49ers have been kicking some butt all season long. But we don't expect the Rams to be contenders this season. So this is Cincinnati's game to lose, in my opinion. When you take a look at betting on non-conference games, first off, the most important games of the season are your home games against divisional rivals, then your road games against divisional rivals, then your games against conference rivals, and then non-conference road games are the least important. And that's what the LA Rams are in right now. They're playing a non-conference road game. Now, obviously, it's Monday Night Football. Everybody shows up on Monday Night Football, so that won't have an effect as it would be on a regular Sunday game. But I prefer the Bengals based on the game situation, but I can't lay the full field goal right now without knowing how long Burrow is going to play. If he does play, I think the line tells you he's going to try to give it a shot, but one hit and he could be out. And then you've got guys in there that have thrown one pass in his career. So leaning with the Bengals here, but unfortunately, because of the uncertainty, I'm not willing to make a play on it yet.
So right now, we're seeing threes out there. And the updated info on Burrow from this morning, from 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. here in the left coast. Oh, I'm sorry. This is I'm wrong. From just about 5 minutes ago, 9:02 a.m. this morning. And what is it? 9:07 now. Burrow's been upgraded to probable. This line was sitting 6, 7, 7.5 before his injury announcement. Now it's sitting at 3. Burrow plays. Isn't this cheap? Or were the opening lines for this game just a little bit disrespectful to LA?
Well, he had said that he tweaked it last game. And I think that's why the line is right now where it is, as opposed to the 6s, as you mentioned. If he plays the full game, there's no doubt in my mind that Cincinnati -3 is the way to go. But there's so many games to bet, and there's so many other things to do to make money. Live betting is the way to do it in this one, if you ask me. If you see him out there and he's running around, he's looking good, then bet the live betting. I don't want to put money up ahead of time, and then all of a sudden he comes out and his first time he tries to run, he tweaks it. So we'll have to see. But yeah, that's why it hasn't gone back to the 6.
Bryan Leonard joining us, everybody. And I got a call from somebody close to Cincinnati last night, just before the late night game. And it was the same. Joe Burrow is probable. Who knows if he makes it all the way through? We'll see what happens. Bryan Leonard, before we get into your next game, I want to introduce the show and also make mention, because we've already had somebody ask about $9 Mondays. So Brian's going to talk Pittsburgh and Houston in college football next. We have Teddy's 6Bs, which is one of our best segments, so stay with us for that. Marco D'Angelo joining us. He's talking Clemson and Syracuse. I was on Clemson this Saturday, so a little bit mad at their kicker right now. And USC at Colorado. I was on Oregon, loving Oregon right now. Andrew McInnis, he's got a bet for us on the Tampa Bay game and the Arizona Diamondbacks game. So we got a great loaded show. And then Teddy's opening line report at 1 p.m., one of the most listened to shows we have on the network. Guys, $9 Mondays is over and done. It's in our rearview mirror. It is behind us. We are now doing half price Mondays. So that's why you'll see a bunch of packages up that are, $19.50 or whatever, $12.50. It is half price Monday. So stay with us. And I have a 5% bet up tonight in one of the two NFL games, so you can get that for $19.50 over at WagerTalk. Brian, let's turn our attention to college football. Pittsburgh's playing at Houston this week. How do we bet this game?
Well, you had mentioned the Monday. You said 1950. I'm assuming $35 is the price of a 5% play. So I know, at least in the United States, half of 35 is 1750.
It's 39 if you package it with another play. So if you have two plays, it's $39.
Okay. I thought that was your
$19.50, which is exactly how much you have to spend to buy my 5% play. Thank you for allowing me to promote it again, Bri.
Well, you did mention you had another play there. So you can get my 5% play for only $17.50. It's up right now. It's in Saturday college football. I didn't have any 5%. In fact, this is only the second 5% I've had all month. I don't put out a lot of 5%. So I've got one that I really like. It's up there right now. You get it until midnight for $17.50. You want to wait till tomorrow? Pay $35. So good reason to get it today for $17.50. But we'll get back to the Pittsburgh and Houston game. Just a terrible scheduling spot for Pittsburgh here. Go back. They pulled off a road divisional win they probably didn't deserve Monday night in Cleveland. Then they traveled to Vegas and beat the Raiders in another nationally televised contest. And despite the location in that one, the Steeler faithful made that a quasi-home game for Pittsburgh. That's the problem when you live in Las Vegas and the Raiders don't sell out their games to local fans. Every team that comes in here owns a lot of the seats in the game. Vegas is similar to the LA teams, the Chargers and the Rams a little bit in that regard. So we will see how that goes. But now they got to go to Houston, take on the lowly Texans before they return home to face the hated Ravens next week, their biggest rival. So this is definitely a bad scheduling spot for Pittsburgh. And then we heard on the news this morning that Pittsburgh had some engine problems, some oil leakage or whatever, and they had to stop in Kansas City on the way home. So it's a long night for Pittsburgh, and they're doing a lot of traveling here. I like the spot here for Houston. As Marco would say, this is the ultimate sandwich spot. Sandwich supreme sandwich for Marco as he goes, knows his lunch meat. We thought all along that Stroud was the most NFL prepared quarterback in the draft. He's shown that thus far. I saw him play every game at Ohio State. And in college, a lot of these receivers are so wide open, anybody could hit them. Even a guy that isn't very good can get open receivers in college, and he'll get drafted. He's been able to put these passes even in college right on the numbers all season long. This guy is the best quarterback in the draft, and he's starting to show it. As opposed to the signal caller he's competing with this week, which is in Pittsburgh, who has been a real disappointment. Even last night, they didn't win because of the quarterbacking in that game. They won because of the defense. Defense was terrific for Pittsburgh. The offense still is a work in progress. So as long as we get the full 3 points here with the host, our money's on Houston. It was 4 when I sent it last night, down to 3 now. If we can get Houston plus 3, it's a play. If it happens to drop below 3, it's still a very good teaser number because this is going to be a low-scoring game. So we're on Houston one way or another. If you can get that 3, grab it now. If you lose it during the week, we'll take Houston on the teaser.
Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. And Brian, I messed that up. I thought we were talking college football. My apologies. Kind of threw Teddy under the bus there because he thought so too, following my instructions. Had a follow-up question for you? No. Look at you, Teddy. No. You know what, Bri? We've promoted for you. You've got a 5% play up. They're very rare. You can get it today for $17.50 over at WagerTalk. Half price Mondays. Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Yeah, hockey season just started, the exhibition games, and I've been handicapping hockey for 6 years. And over those 6 years, I'm number 1 in net profit at WagerTalk, a sports memo in hockey. So made a lot of money in hockey, love hockey. And the season has started. Grab our season package. They've got some nice deals out there right now. And baseball season's still going on. Playoffs about to start. I believe there's a baseball package out there. I believe it's $195 for the rest of the baseball season for your favorite handicapper. We're number 3 in baseball this season. So, plenty of ways to make money. Not just football. Baseball and hockey are there, and basketball right around the corner.
Bryan Leonard, everybody. Teddy, before we get to your 6Bs, Money Channel, who's with us all the time, every day in the chat room. We really appreciate that. He writes, he got all the best numbers in CFB this Saturday and still lost big. How and why? He talks about the fact that you and I mention that you got to get the best numbers. He did, and he lost. Money Channel, if you got the best number on the Denver Broncos, you lost. If you got the best number on the Atlanta Falcons, you lost. This isn't get the best number and win. This is, if making a bet on a particular game, get the best number. That is no guarantee that you will win. If it was, Teddy and I would not be doing this show from our houses. We would be in the Caribbean at the beach. Teddy, it's time for your 6Bs. I hand the mic to you.
Sure. And before I get into that, in the bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books, which Lawrence, for some reason, doesn't want to say the name for anyone that's not familiar with it, a little recap of what happened this past weekend in betting action. I'm going to talk about a bunch of games where every half point matters. We're going to start with some bad beats. And look, unders that die in overtime like Clemson, Florida State are never fun. If you had Clemson in that ballgame, that might have been less fun. That being said, tough beat either side or total in the Clemson, Florida State game. The worst beat on Saturday, I thought, was App State +3 at Wyoming. And that was a push in the end. They're leading the whole game. Wyoming gets a scoop and score and a 2-point conversion with 2 minutes left. App State driving into field goal range. They're going to tie the game, send it overtime. They're +3. 12 seconds left to take one shot at the end zone, but the quarterback makes a terrible throw late over the middle, falling back interception. App State plus the points. Ooh, that was a tough push in a game that they dominated. And I don't know if this is a bad beat or not, because it's kind of a both ways bad beat. Nevada +17 at Texas State. The underdog, the +17 underdog, leads 17-0 at halftime. And then a 35-0 second half run off for Texas State. The +17 is no good. What the? And then, of course, the 17 dog up double digits at halftime can't cover, but Nevada's time for one last drive. They convert third downs, one big play, and, of course, the covering touchdown with less than a minute to play. So I guess it's poetic justice. Still no fun for Texas State bettors in that one. The Saints closed -1. They were 1.5 all week, +1.5. And that was pretty brutal if you had New Orleans yesterday. Up 17-0 in control into the fourth quarter. Carr gets hurt, then you give up the field goal, then the touchdown, then the 2-point conversion, and the touchdown again. No big deal, because the Saints are going to drive into field goal range and win, except they missed the game-winning field goal. Brutal if you had New Orleans yesterday. The Vikings were on the right side gone wrong, but they're pick 'em. And after Staley's bizarre decisions, they needed only 24 yards with a $1:46 left and timeouts. They can't get it. Ends up with an interception in the end zone on first down from Kirk Cousins. And, of course, the Raiders kicking a field goal to cut the lead to 5. That's not a bad beat, just a bad decision by Josh McDaniels. The Raiders, they weren't winning or covering anyway. When it comes to bad bets, well, so much for Colorado being the square team of the year. Not after that showing. The Buffs, a very popular choice among recreational bettors this past weekend. How about this one for bad bets? It certainly stands out to me. I send out a pros versus Joes every Sunday for the NFL. And here's what I said yesterday. Pros have bet the Broncos. Oops, that was a wrong side. The Commanders. Oops, that was a wrong side. The Dirty Bird Falcons. Oops, that was a wrong side. And Raider Nation. Oops, that was a wrong side. Not a great day for the pros in the NFL on Sunday. And, of course, speaking of bad bets, Lawrence mentioned at the top of the show, 60% of Confiver contestants went down yesterday. Cowboys, Jags, Ravens, all losing straight up as touchdown or more favorites. And, yes, that's 3 of the 4 games lined at higher than a touchdown where the underdog won outright. Bad for books. You want to talk about middle mania? Every half point can matter. Michigan Rutgers +24.5 was out there. -23.5 too. Closes 24, lands 24. Nobody lost, and books paid out. Virginia Tech Marshall. These are all early games on Saturday. Virginia Tech Marshall. Some books open 9. Some books open 5. They settled in at 7. Then on 6.5 at game day. Marshall wins by 7. Books paid out both sides. Every bettor's supposed to win or push in that game, too. Army-Syracuse opens as low as 9, as high as 14. Settles 13.5, 13, 12.5 all week, right through game day. Lands 13 after a late Army 80-yard touchdown pass and missed 2-point conversion. Again, nobody loses. The books don't get any positive revenue. They either push or pay both sides. Oklahoma, Cincinnati, another middle in early action. Minus 15, minus 15.5. Then money for the dog, closed 13, 13.5. Lands 14. Books pay out both sides. Troy, Western Kentucky, opened some books, 2, 2.5. Other books 4, lands 3. These are all just the early games. 5 middles. If you got the best of the number, it doesn't matter which side you had, you cashed. If you're losing games like these, any of these, betting skills, not capping skills that you need to work on. And then Saturday night, more of the same. Notre Dame, minus 2.5. Bounced minus 3, minus 3.5 all day. Closed minus 3. It's officially a push. Last play of the game. And the extra point that took forever to kick with the 1 second left. Makes all the difference there. Bad result for the house. They paid out both sides, didn't win much. And then just to cap it off, the late night bailout special landed in the middle too. Hawaii opens minus 2 against New Mexico State, closes minus 4. They rally in the fourth quarter to win by exactly 3. And there was one on Sunday too. That Vikings-Chargers total opened 51, got bet up to 54, then right back down. Closes 52.5, lands 52. Middle. The books got hammered on some middles this weekend when the lines are too tight. It's every bit as much of a problem. Last but not least, there's the pros versus Joes. Here's who the Joes, or my take on who the Joes were betting yesterday. Patriots, winner. Seahawks, winner. Dolphins, winner. Lions, winner. Cowboys, loser. Good day for the Joes. Bad day for the books, who cater to recreational bettors. There's my bad beat, bad bet, bad for the books segment. Lawrence, back to you.
Teddy, for me, watching the end of that Baltimore game, I mean, listen, obviously the spread was not in play, nor the total, but my God, everything that could possibly go wrong for Baltimore in a 2-minute span did. But it was on them. But that, if you had them straight up or in some kind of money line parlay that closed it off, I think you would have pulled your hair out. I mean, they were in knee position if the punter just did not call for a fair catch. And he did. And they messed up. And then they had a pass interference penalty in overtime that was blatant that wasn't called. But anyway, let's move on. We got lots of betting to talk about. Marco D'Angelo coming into the show. And Marco, we absolutely love having you on, co-founder of WagerTalk. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, but Prez, I didn't get the memo. Brian must have that it was do the show in your pajamas day. I'm hoping those were his pajamas and not a real shirt. My buddy Brian there. Can't believe you didn't bust his stones.
That's what Brian wears.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. So
yeah, exactly.
I was too busy. Too busy looking at his hair. Brian's got the best hair ever. And now he's got these gray wisps coming through. Anyway, Marco D, man, let's get straight into it. Teddy mentioned Clemson in his bad beat segment. I was on Clemson. I was out, so I didn't actually get to see it, but I watched it on ESPN Gamecast and wasn't very happy. Anyway, they're playing Syracuse Saturday. Plus 6.5 for Syracuse. How are we betting this game?
Oh, guys, every week when I come on Monday, I'm giving you guys a college play in advance that is purely a situational play. Share my sandwich spots, those type of games. And that's what this Clemson-Syracuse game is. I've got several angles that all point the same way. And here's what we're looking at. Started off, you've got a 2-2 team playing a 4-0 team. And the 2-2 team is a road favorite of a touchdown. When I sent this out to you guys last night, the line was 6.5. It's up to 7 with Clemson on the road. Reason why? It's because the name, Clemson. That's why they're favored here and by the touchdown. It's too much. Why? They're coming off a game on Saturday in which they lost in overtime. I love to fade teams the following week if they're a favorite coming off an overtime loss. That checks the first box. Now, forget that it was an overtime game. It was a big game. It was against Florida State. Biggest game in the ACC for the season so far. And Clemson comes up short. How many times have you heard me use the phrase, lose the same game twice? teams that come off a big game loss like that in gut-wrenching fashion, I want to go against them the next week. Checks another box to go with Syracuse. But here's the clincher. And I usually don't get to use this in week 4 of the season, but this is a dream crusher game. What do I mean by a dream crusher game? When a prominent team has their season goal go up in smoke, that's when you go against them the following week. And what I'm talking about is if you're a Clemson player, when you go to that program, you're playing to be in the national playoffs every single year. That's your goal. Well, that's gone. 2 losses in the first 4 weeks of the season, one of them to Duke, and then the overtime loss to Florida State. I'm sorry. A 2-team lost team is not getting in the playoffs this year, especially with a loss to Duke, as they did in the first week of the season. So Clemson, to me, is an absolute fade this week. I'm going to take Syracuse. And if you remember on last week's show, I told you to take Army plus the points if Syracuse was caught in the sandwich. And they escaped, but they didn't cover if you got the number at the right time. We're doing the same thing here, except we're back in Syracuse this week.
The Colorado Buffaloes were a popular betting choice for recreational bettors last week. They were a popular team to fade among wise guy bettors last week. There was a run on Colorado on the money line early Saturday morning, and lots of pros were. It was like Mayweather McGregor, where they were, I'll lay minus 700 here with the Buffs. With the Ducks against the Buffs. So now Colorado's got to bounce back in theory, and they're at home against USC. The betting market's not expecting anything different this week than what they saw last week. Perhaps we're talking about, looking at the live odds screen, USC minus 21.5, total 73.5 for this one. I came on the show last week, I like Colorado over the total against Oregon, and Oregon did their part. The Buffs didn't, and the game never sniffed an over because Colorado couldn't score. What's different about this week's game against USC?
A lot of stuff is different, Teddy, and we're going to start with Oregon is a physical team, okay? USC is not. They're a finesse team that goes up and down the field, and then when they play defense, teams have success against them. If you've watched Arizona State play at all this year, and unfortunately, I've had to break down every one of their games this week because I do it Arizona radio spot, this offense is absolutely putrid. They scored 28 points last week on USC, and I'm looking for more of the same this week. Colorado last week only scored 6 points. They didn't score that last touchdown until the waning moments of the game. Oregon was playing pressure defense the entire game because they were pitching a shutout, and that's key on a total. Anytime you have an over, you're rooting for both teams to get something on the board at some point early so that if it is a big game score-wise where Oregon was winning by 40, that they would end up playing prevent defense and you could get some scores because you need 2 teams to score when you're betting an over. And that's why you never sniffed the over last week. It was 42-0 for most of the game, and Oregon was just trying to get out of the game, kill clock, and preserve that shutout because that would have been the ultimate slap in the face to Deion Sanders and his team. This week, USC can score quickly. I actually think USC has a better offense than Oregon because Oregon is more methodic with their offense, running and passing. USC has more explosive plays, and I think they're going to get quick scores. But I also think Colorado will score on them, and that's why look at the total. Under as it was last week, 42-6, and the total was 70.5. They made this total higher, Teddy. That tells you what you need to know. I'm grabbing this now because I think the Sharps are going to see it the same way I do, and this will go up. And then when you get to the weekend, you'll get the steam chasers. They'll want to bet the over as well. It'll go up. Grab the 73.5 now over the total. I think this one gets into the 80s.
Marco D'Angelo joining us, everyone. It's Half Price Monday. Marco, what do you have got going for the clients?
Yeah, I've got a play in Monday Night Football tonight. It's a big 4% play. We went 3-1 over the weekend with 4% and 5% plays. I did have 1-5. It was Louisville, an easy winner for us. But more importantly, guys, going back to last year, 9 straight Monday Night Football winners. You can get tonight's play instead of paying $25, $12.50.
There you go, Marco D'Angelo, everybody. Outstanding stuff. Teddy covers. I have a toothache that is debilitating, and I won't be able to see the dentist till tomorrow afternoon. Right after the show, I'm popping a bunch of codeine and crashing. I'm ready to pass out, man. Anyway, I don't understand how these people in countries where they can't afford dental, I don't understand how they function. You had a piece of advice for me.
I did. I told you to do it. Tom Hanks in Castaway. You just find a hockey, what was that, a skate, and just pop it out. You can do that.
Yeah.
Hanks did it. You can do it.
On it, dude. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I'll video it. I'll video it and throw it on Twitter. It's time for your big game breakdown. Let's go.
Let's do it. Big game breakdown time. Let's talk college football for Saturday night, ESPN style. Alabama in Starkville to take on Mississippi State. The cowbells will be dinging. I don't know how long they'll be dinging because it might be a long night for Mississippi State. You look at this series in recent years, and it has not been very competitive. 30-6 last year, Alabama covers -21. 49-9 in Starkville in 21, Alabama covers -17. 41-0, Alabama covers -31. 38-7, Alabama covers -18.5. 24-0, Alabama covers -22. Now, those are all against Mike Leach teams. But note what Mississippi State was able to do. 6 points, 9 points, 0 points, 7 points, 0 points. That's 22 points in 5 meetings against Alabama. And for all the struggles that we've seen from this Alabama offense so far this season, look, 2.9 yards per rush against Ole Miss, although that's very misleading. They were 10.7 yards per pass. And the top back, Chase McClellan, was over 5 yards per carry. So I'm not worried about, the issue with protecting Milroe more than any other factor in that ballgame to keep the yards per rush down. But they can run the football. The defense is dominant. And Mississippi State, what's the identity of this team right now? They spent 3 games in a completely different offense from what they've been running under Leach in recent years, where they're just trying to pound the football and it's not working. And then last week, like, all right, well, let's just start chucking it around. And they gained up 500 yards. And we saw Will Rogers throw for 47, his career best numbers. This team doesn't know who they are right now in the Zach Arnett era. And when you have an Alabama team that A, shows up in the second half last week, and B, has dominated this program, and C, has a little bit of something to prove, I'm not convinced that Mississippi State is primed for anything positive here, especially when you look at how bad their defense was. Spencer Rattler, I think he had 2 incompletes in that ballgame against the Bulldogs. Not good. Roll Tide in this one. If I'm playing, I'm laying. And frankly, no argument here if you want to look at the under as well. I'm not convinced Mississippi State is going to be putting up points in bunches this year either. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers 552 people watching live. Only 98 Sweet. Likes. I appreciate the 98 likes, guys, but that's literally 20% of the people watching. For the rest of you guys, take, 1 second of your time, hit that like button. Even if you don't like, just hit the like button anyway. Subscribe to our channel, please. We really appreciate it. It would be, it literally takes a second. Teddy, I mentioned my toothache. Bam Golf says, Prez, just take some gummies. So I tried that last night and the night before, but it made it worse.
Too much. Yeah, if you have a real toothache, it's not going to work.
Yeah, because when you then the gummies hit, and now all of a sudden you can feel everything in a more heightened sense. The gummies didn't work, Bam, but I appreciate it. But I'll tell you what, Bam, I'll try it again tonight. Andrew McInnis joining us, everyone. How are you, buddy?
And I've got breaking news for everybody. Either way, toothache or not, he was going to be trying the gummies. So either way, that was an activity plan for the night.
What are you, live in my house now?
No, I just think you like to have some fun with the edibles. Am I wrong?
You're right. You're right.
It's like
Hey,
me
listen.
saying, "Oh, I'm really mad. I lost my play. I might have a little joint." Well, maybe I was going to anyway. Even if it won, I might have done it.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a celebratory joint. So I get it. Respect. I haven't had a joint in 14 years. Andrew McInnis. Teddy, you don't know this, but Andrew has veered left. He's got bets for us on both NFL games. Let's start with the first one. Tampa Bay at Philadelphia. Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. How do we bet this?
So I've chosen to look towards a team total in this game on the Buccaneers over 19.5 points. I feel like I just focus on one team, take the other team out of the picture as far as the point spread's concerned here. Bucs scored 27 points against the Bears, 20 against the Vikings here. And look, I mean, Kirk Cousins threw for 364 yards and 4 passing touchdowns against the Eagles. Mac Jones, 316 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. I think this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is just better than people think they are. I got to give credit to them when credit's due. Baker Mayfield, 0 interceptions on the year so far. I know we're really early, but he's a guy I've given a tough time to over the years. And looking at Mike Evans, an unbelievable start to him. 10 targets against Minnesota, 8 targets against the Bears. This, to me, is a spot where I think this Buccaneers team is going to be able to chip away with the depth they have at receiver. And Eagles, they might have a good pass rush. They might have a good team overall, but I'm not surprised if they allow points. They're a team that I could see this full game going over. I could also see the Eagles having a great day offensively, but I just decided to focus in on one team in particular. A team that's got the job done as far as this team total in both games so far. Might be a jump up in competition, but I'm still confident with this core that they can get it done over 19.5 points.
So when you talk about over 19.5, you're talking about touchdowns, not field goals in general. And that's my biggest concern with this particular total, because right now, and again, it's only 2 games into the season, but it's not like the Bucs have played any good defensive teams yet. And for a red zone touchdown percentage, they rank 31st in the NFL. Only Houston's been worse. They get close, but they're struggling to put the biscuit in the basket. When you have a team total over, they better put that biscuit in the basket. Are you worried at all about Tampa's red zone failures early in the season? Or do you think Philly's the type of defense they can solve that problem against?
Well, I have to say, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, obviously, this is a situation where you're looking at the games that they've played so far. It's clearly a step up. No doubt about that. I think that they're capable of it, Teddy, and I feel like they do have a fair amount of options that can keep people guessing. I mean, look at Mike Evans even this year. I did a lot more prep as far as season-long props this year than I ever have. Nobody was high on Mike Evans. His number was super low. I just feel like there's a lot of different options on this Bucs team, and Philadelphia, I understand what you're saying. I just think that they're giving up points more than people think, and I think that they're so talented offensively that people just never really give them a tough time when they have defensive breakdowns. And I'm hoping that the Buccaneers can get a few in tonight. And like you said, you can't win those team totals off field goals. So with that being said, I'm actually hoping that they go for it on 4th in some situations. I don't want them settling for a field goal. I need 7 in order to win this team total.
Andrew McInnis joining us, everyone. Exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk.com. We are going to get into the next game, but before that, my friend, it's $half Mondays. What do you have to promote?
Well, of course, it is $half Mondays, like you said, but I do have a promo code 3-day. Sorry?
Price Mondays. You guys keep saying $half Monday. That's the 2 promos mix. It's $9 Mondays or half price Mondays. $9 Mondays is in the past. Now we have half price Mondays. Not that hard.
Teddy, it's a marketing. It's just marketing. We're just giving him a one-timer in the slot, right, Prez? Or is just a marketing thing so we can keep repeating it. I have a promo code going right now. AM 3-day gets a 3-day all access pass for $55. Doing pretty well in MLB. I'm up 24 units on the season. NFL guys, I'm fully transparent. I'm pretty much exactly break even, which I'll take that. Hoping to have a good night tonight. I have 2 props and 1 total. I'm on an 8-2 NFL totals run. So hoping to build on that. And hey, I'm not super happy and satisfied, but I'm not super angry either with this break-even NFL start. We're treading water and hopefully get going tonight.
Andrew McInnis, everyone. Andrew, we got another game, Cincinnati against the Rams. You've got a prop bet for us on this game. What is it?
Well, the game I wanted to talk about was the Arizona Diamondbacks team total over. And I realized that game starts in like 20 minutes. And I was like, damn, I'm last on the show. So I better give something else out besides just that, seeing as the game starts, pretty much right after the show is going to be finished. So here's the deal. I think that for the most part in the Bengals game, it's hard to look at props because everybody's concerned about the quarterback situation. And a great breakdown there by Brian earlier on in the show. I like Joe Mixon over 58.5 rushing yards. You hear all the confusion about which quarterback's going to be. Are they going to get a banged up Joe Burrow? We're going to get the backup quarterback in. Who are all the targets going to go to? How about we just look at the running back? How about we sit back and understand that the LA Rams have the 26th ranked rush defense. This is a Joe Mixon that's actually averaging 4.6 yards per carry. And I've been waiting for a breakout game from him. And I think this might be it for him. He's going to get a ton of carries. I'm looking at between 15, 16, 17 carries. If I see that, I'm super confident we can go over 58.5. And this is a team that, honestly, their passing game hasn't looked very strong. In a game like this, I say they establish the run early on. Why should we handicap the game with the quarterback? Why should we worry about certain receivers? And you guys know I love props. I decided to look at this game and focus on the running back position. I think it's a great game for Joe Mixon.
And McInnis says Joe Mixon's the guy to highlight when we're talking about Monday Night Football props with the Rams and the Bengals. Best of luck this evening, Andrew. Update your streaks, update your page. Otherwise, that way I can hype you as opposed. I don't want to give out those outdated records. Lawrence, it's time for your daily presidential address. Go.
Well, Teddy, we got close to 200 likes, so I thought I would give out a pick that I am betting and that I actually love. And it's a big, live, juicy dog. Before we get into that, I want to tell everybody, if you guys have never bought my All Access NFL, you're missing out. I ended up, what I do is I give out my bets. Yesterday, I had 10 bets for the entire day for my clients. I went 6-4. I won my 5%. We cashed about 7 units of play. But I also give you guys analysis on almost every single game on the board. It's pages of analysis. If you bet every game I gave out, you went 13-8 in across the board. So you guys got to check out my All Access NFL because it's not just my bets. I give you guys, my circa picks are up there. I went 4-1 yesterday. I give you teaser bets that I'm doing. Everything is in there. And we do have a promo code for the rest of my NFL season. It's Prez 100. Prez 100. You take $100 off of my NFL season. And the great thing is, I'm down 12 units on the season, which means the losing is behind. And I always do my best work in October and November. So please take advantage of that. Prez 100. Also, check out the opening line report. Teddy's big show at 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay, here's a bet that I think you guys should make. Plus 164. The LA Angels playing Texas. Now, Texas is in a wild card hunt. I get it. They're locked in. I mean, look, they can still screw this up, but they definitely have gotten themselves a window. If you go back about 10 days, they had a series in Toronto where they had to win, and they came in and they swept the Blue Jays 4-0. The next day, they played the Cleveland Guardians and lost 12-3. Cue up now. They just played a must-win series against Seattle, really a series that was going to dictate which one of those two teams were going to make the playoffs, and they swept Seattle 3-0. Now they find themselves in the exact same position. They're playing a worse team in LA Angels than they were in Seattle. This is a massive letdown spot, a perfect spot for this team to have an emotional come down. And plus, John Gray ain't pitching very well right now. Patrick Sandoval's pitching better. I'm going to take the Angels at plus 164. That's the show, everybody. Teddy, your heart out has been reached. Take us home.
I thought there was a prop for Monday Night Football. But
Andrew
nonetheless.
gave it out. Oh, Teddy, one sec. Nothing like two Jews working on Yom Kippur. For anyone out there who's fasting today and listening to this show, best of luck. Now you can take us home.
Sure. That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition of Wager Talk Today. Like Lauren said, right here on Wager Talk TV, top of the hour, 15 minutes from now, myself and Drew Martin will be breaking down all 16 NFL games for week 4, where the money's coming, where it's already been, and what things we want to pay attention to. So stay tuned for the opening line report right here on Wager Talk TV. Between now and tomorrow's Wager Talk Today show, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your wagers.